12 o'clock on the dot clock. Oh, it's always we're just getting started.
It's to me that couple seconds before it actually lets you be live.
We are ready. We are live. We are live here. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the WonderMama Coffee Chat. I'm Leonne Sherr, and I'm so glad that you are here joining us today. Every week, I sit down with incredible people who are intentionally bringing good into this world, into motherhood, into entrepreneurship, and into the lives of the people around them. We talk about real stuff. And after about 30 minutes here with all of you live, we drop into a private conversation inside the Wonder Mama place, our private community, and our members. So if you're already a member, stay here with me. And if you're not yet, the door is always open. Now, today's guest, isn't she lovely? Tiffany J is a master certified professional coach, a certified neuroscience coach, a mental wellness educator, author, speaker, and founder of La Femme Training and Consulting Solutions. She brings nearly three decorated decades of executive leadership experience and a deep understanding of what is actually happening inside the body and mind of a woman who is carrying too much for too long. Her work sits at the intersection of emotional regulation, nervous system science, and real life. And today she is bringing it all here because because surviving and being well are not the same thing. And I think it's time we talked about the difference. So, Tiffany, welcome to the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat.
Thank you
And
for
I'm
having me. I'm
so
so
glad
honored
you're
to
here
be here.
today.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All hi out there in Mama Land. So
Mama.
let's get into it.
Okay, so first of all, can you tell us just a little bit about you? I know I said a lot of things, but that's all the accolades. Tell us who you are, your mom too,
Yes.
and predominantly that's who we're talking to today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this platform to actually be able to speak to people that I actually have an intimate knowledge of. Not only I was a very young mother. I got pregnant at 14, had my first child at 15. So I am a teen mom, and so the struggles of growing up with your child and them going through the experience of you as a young person, they have a unique dynamic with you, and that relationship has its own challenges and its own rewards as you're growing up together. They get to see some of the goods and the bads, but if you have a genuine relationship with that child, it at the end it is so amazing. Me and my daughter have the dopest relationship, and then I have a son. They are 9.5 years apart, so I waited. But now he is one of my favorite humans in this world. Dope man. And so being a mom is, the thing that really was my why for so long. And then when they became older and I became empty nester, it became yeah, so who am I at this point? The craziest part is that none of my dynamics really changed because at 14, when I found out I was pregnant, my great grandmother told me, um, you better know who you are because if you don't, then anyone can tell you who you are. And so that was my mantra. And so I lived that my whole life. So knowing who I was at the center of my core, my character was always front and foremost for me. But the dynamics of life had its challenges, right? We all experience things. And so I learned what it was to survive. And then as I grew older and got more inquisitive into why I was reactionary the way I was, I wanted to be well. And so I learned some tools and now I am out teaching all of these tools to all of the people. I spent an illustrious career in the civil service, and so I've done a lot of cool jobs. I've seen a lot of cool places, and I've met a lot of interesting people and being a military brat, different cultures, different people, different atmospheres. And so when you have so much engagement and being an introvert, you have to learn how to navigate the world a little bit more.
Give me one second. Did you just say you're an introvert?
I am. I am what they call a functioning introvert. I will tell you, the people that know me well. Being Caribbean as well, I do a lot of events, and that is how I leaning more into my culture got me out in a place where I was so comfortable with my skin, who I am, learning so much more about myself. It allowed me to be able to be more engaging with people. Tell people introverts, we're not wallflowers, we're not secluders, we're just people that need to really go into. I particularly go to my bed and I disappear for a few days after any event. It took my honey a little bit of time to get used to that, because when I say I disappear, no phones, no nothing. Leadership was that thing that really brought me out, because you can't be a dynamic leader and not engage with people. You
Yeah.
just can't. And so I had to learn how to navigate that. And I met a younger woman, and she said, in her spill, she said she was an introvert, the most charismatic person I probably had ever heard speak at that point. And she actually was like, I'm a functioning introvert. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that. So from that, she became my mentor, and we talked a lot, and it was my thing was how do I become an impactful leader, um being so introverted. Like, I get home, I don't want to see my phone. I go into my room and I seclude myself. And so I was like, that's not going to be good when you're engaging with your team. And so when you're with your people, and you have to be able to speak and have whole conversations, and people get to come into your office when they need
Yes.
help. It's
Oh my
important.
gosh. Oh my gosh. So much of what you're saying is already resonating with me. But I want to bring it back to something, because you're using the word functioning. So, like me, so first of all, I was also a mother. Uh,
Yes.
I was also a teen mother, and so got to grow up with my children. And so when you say that, just the life lessons that we learn with growing up with our boys or our children, it's amazing. Um, but like me, you work with women who are functioning. We're holding jobs, raising kids, showing up. And from the outside, everything looks fine. So, in the women that you're working with, what are you actually seeing when you look closer
Well,
and holding space for them? Yeah.
I think that what we as people, the dynamics of navigating the world gets a little complex when you add the different roles that people play. And I say that because most of the time people are characters in their own book. And so a lot of times it is getting them to realize who they are at their core, and what they want to stand for, and what do they want to present to the world. Not what the world wants to see or what they believe the world needs. It's who do you want to be at your core. And so it's a lot of times is digging down deep for them to get to that point, to even realize what really truly makes them happy, and who they really truly want to be, without all of those things and all of those hats. People use hats, I use characters. Um, and so without us playing these roles, who are we at our core? Because those are the values that will get you into a place of from surviving to being well. I don't always call it being well, but I love the way you phrase that, so I think I'm going to do that. I think it is being at your core genuine and authentic to who you are for you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror. That is the person that you can disappoint and hurt the most so quickly.
Yeah.
And so it is helping people to realize that when you look in the mirror, who stares back at you? Who are you talking to? Because that little girl and that little boy in us still is there. And that is who we are trying to protect. That is the person that we are trying to save most of the time. And we don't even realize it. And so I just help people walk through some dynamics of what is those things that will get them emotionally to a point where they are not functioning in their what we like to call their wise mind. Instead of that rational mind or that emotional mind, we want them to be in their wise mind so that their body and their mind are working together in concert, because that's the thing that's going to help them to navigate whatever this thing is in front of them, because it could either be very joyous or very low. So it's a balance.
It is a balance. And what's so much, I'm like unpacking this quickly, but I'm thinking about that woman that you're talking to, and and the journey that you've been on, and the personal development and education that you have made sure that you have to help all of these people. As a coach, it's so important for us to really help people understand that this journey that you're offering them to find their authentic self, to be grounded in themselves, is lived experience on top of all of that education. It totally is. One of the things that you said um, in another conversation was that most women are never taught to regulate stress or process emotions without guilt. So, where do you believe that we've learned that?
So it is a lot more complex. And so I love that I have these conversations, because I am not a surface level person. So I did not want to learn those surface level things, because we're and so everything I say, please take this is definitely coming from my viewpoint and the things that I've encountered and the people that I've dealt with.
That's all we want to
Um
know.
um Talk therapy is very great. Talk therapy is great to be able to now talk, because if you don't know what you're trying to address, it's hard to address it.
Mhm.
And so talking through things, but what we're not taught a lot of times, unless we seek those things, are those tools that help us to navigate. So when your body and your mind are not working in concert and you're now emotionally dysregulated, there has to be some steps taken to help you regulate. Because if you're dysregulated, and we tend to stay in that state so much that that becomes what I call our baseline. So now, if you are, let's say you have a partner and that partner is toxic, and so you've stayed in that relationship for many 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 years, that is your baseline. You're now, your body has now set that as the baseline, as normal. So if you find a partner that now is safe, your body is going to go through some things that are going to make you go, question, is this person safe? No, this isn't right, this isn't. But it's
This is
really
messed up.
because
This is not safe. Yeah.
your body is now finding a new baseline,
Yeah.
because that person is safe, and that person does help your dopamine to be exploited and give you that euphoric feeling. But your body's not used to that. Your body's used to toxicity. It's used to being at that high cortisol level and stress and da 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 da, and not knowing what is safe and what's not. And so because of that, your body is now trying to transition and almost detox from the toxicity. And so it looks different. And because we don't talk about things at that level, people tend to leave relationships early, or they tend to start to self 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 navigate in, I did something wrong, it's me, I'm broken, I'm not. And that's where I literally was at a place where I felt broken, and then I was going to therapy and I was doing the things, and none of it was helping. So I felt like I was broken, I felt like I was a problem. And so I felt like that, how can someone love a person so broken? So even when love was being poured into me, I couldn't receive it in the manner in which it was being given. And so I had to learn, and I had to go, and everybody's like, oh, you're so well put together, you got it all. And I'm like, yeah, no. If that was the case, I wouldn't be over here huddled over in the corner, crying my eyes out, feeling like, God, why? Why am I so broken, and why can't I be fixed? And it wasn't that I needed to be fixed. I just needed tools to navigate. And so I found by happenstance, I found a person that was teaching these tools, and I was like, oh, let me take a look at this course. It couldn't hurt because I tried everything else. And it was DTS, distress tolerance skills under DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And so I just was taking these classes online. The person was doing like 2 hour sessions. They were like 20 bucks. It's like, it can't hurt. It changed my life.
Mm.
Changed my freaking life because it gave me real-time tools that I can use in the moments of when I was in duress. And I was very volatile. I was very, 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 very volatile. My therapist said, anger therapy, anger management. I was like, girl, there ain't nobody bad enough to put me in no anger management. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So what you're describing, what you're describing is, that baseline, and also, that most of the people that are in there don't know that there's something else. They don't know, or they don't know how to find it, or once they do, they don't have those tools. Would you mind sharing what was the first tool that really helped you?
okay, so I will say, there were many. There's so many,
Yeah.
and that's why I learned so many because there's
Mhm.
so many, and so I've
But
learned
we want
at different stages.
the people
So,
hearing you today to
mhm.
have one. They want to
So
say one.
I'm gonna say the simplest one, and I actually keep it by me. It's a fidget. It is a
Mm.
fidget. I don't know if you can see it.
Little purple,
It's
looks like
yeah.
a
It's
rubber or a
it
plastic.
looks like I tell people it
Like
looks like a slinky, but
uh-huh.
I'm showing my age when I talk about slinkies.
Yeah.
But it's a fidget, and it's called an acupuncture fidget, and you just put it on your finger
Okay.
and you just roll it. It brings your body in, it brings you back into your present. And so it brings you back into your body. So the thing that I learned was meditating and breath work were first. And they actually worked, especially when I would start to get anxiety. I had never had an anxiety attack. And so when I did, it was quite frightening. And so people say your mind should be stronger than that, and I was like, yeah, well, when your body is not getting the proper amount of oxygen, your body starts to panic and it starts to do what it needs to do to survive. And so bringing your body into presence and knowing that you're safe, and it's, I mean, because everything was unsafe at a point for me. And so these fidgets are the best things I've ever found. You can buy them on Amazon. I keep them. I give them to everybody. These are the things I give to everybody because when you're anxious, just roll it.
Mm.
I do meetings with it. I sit in traffic because road rage is still I think that's the only thing I'm still working through.
We're
But
still working on some stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm a work in progress. I am a whip. I tell everyone.
Me too.
And so but this helps to bring you back into your body, and it helps you to get your mind and your body back online. And so it's just like that thing that just kind of brings you back to, okay, here we go.
Mm.
So these fidgets are my favorites. And there are so many different types of fidgets. These just so happen to be my favorites because your hands have a lot of nerves in them. And so that just brings it just helps too because you won't even know that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be sitting there doing this and then you'll realize you feel something on your hand and then it just brings you back into your body. I love these things. So
So,
if anybody within earshot, yes, yes,
so
yes,
this is
I
a little
love it.
crystal egg
That's
that
beautiful.
I hold. So if anybody ever asks, it's right here, and I hold it to keep me focused on where I am too. It's a crystal egg. It belonged to my mother.
Oh, that's beautiful. And it's
Thank you.
sentimental. I love that. That's even better
Oh,
because
I
that is
don't
definitely
know.
going to
I
be
mean,
felt.
that looks available, and I can imagine that the nerve endings on your fingers are very sensitive.
Sensitive.
So
Hmm.
that's really great for just self-regulation in a moment of high stress. So thank you for sharing that. I have
You're
another
welcome.
question. There's a difference between surviving and being a well,
Yes,
even though you
very
don't
much
use
so.
being well so much, but there's a huge surviving. And most moms, well, women actually, have been surviving so long. And you talked about that being their baseline, whether you're in a relationship or not, like we run through those filters from the time we're born,
Born.
you know.
Yep. Even before you're born.
Even
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So, what is it that, how can someone recognize that they are in survival mode if they are living in a baseline? Like,
That.
yes, that part. How do we know?
So,
Yeah.
so this is going to sound very harsh. It is very hard for
Yeah.
them to know until they're confronted with something that is so overwhelming that their body tells them, I can't keep going this way.
Mhm.
And it could be a loss. Your children leaving as empty nester. And now
Woo, was a
you
big
have
one
no more distractions.
falling
It's
off
just
that cliff.
you.
Yeah.
It is just you. But what I tell people is and usually when someone comes to a coach or a therapist or a psychiatrist, any of the modalities out there for seeking help is because they feel something down within that and I'm a spiritual person, so it could be something outside of yourself saying, I want to be better. I want to do better. Some people will go through this life believing that they're fine. And so it really is this self-awareness. And that's why I said it sounds harsh, but it really is that. People will start to not feel like everything that brought them joy will start to not feel as joyous. Things that used to didn't bother them will bother them. And they will just not be able to find that balance within, and that will start to now need, it's their trigger to seek more. Because if you don't have the all the tools at your disposal, because when breathing doesn't work or when the fidgets don't work, there are other tools. And if you have a traumatic experience, then there are traumas that have to be dealt with. So it is really about awareness, and that awareness means that I am now knowing that I need to seek some additional support. And that's when people can really start to, now whether it's reading a book, because I do know people that will read, that will be their initial, or they'll start to journal and they'll start to listen to musics that are more soothing. Yeah, let's talk. Well, I love that for you. Um,
That's a journal, just a blank journal, but it is the place.
but
Yeah,
it is, and it's that thing, and so people will start to find these tools in mannerable ways. I would like to talk a little bit more about the wellness versus survival.
I would love.
And when I said that even before we're born, because if your mother is in a stressful situation, and most women during pregnancy, unless they just are weighted on hand and foot, if you're still working, if you have other children, or if you have any other dynamics around you that will cause you to stay in a high stress level, your cortisol levels are already a little higher, because during pregnancy, those cortisol levels are the things that help us to have babies. And so your cortisol level is already a little elevated. So if you're adding additional stress on top of that, your cortisol levels are high, and that is just passed down through to your child. So your child could come out stressed out. And so those so when doctors are telling us, try to remain calm, try to stay stress free, it really is because your body is already producing enough cortisol to help the baby to live and grow and develop. But if you're stressing even more, those levels are very high, and they will be passed down to the baby. Some babies can get shaken syndrome. There's a lot of things that can, be passed down to the child during their 9 months of incubation. And so it's easier said than done. I mean, because being, like we already know, being pregnant is already stressful. Being a first time mom, you're already stressed out. Am I going to be a good mom? Am I eating right? Am I doing all the right things? So they're
See,
already,
I have
stressed.
four. I felt that the whole time, every time.
And so, and then if you've had any, other things that have gone wrong during a pregnancy or previous pregnancy or anything, or you're high risk, it just elevates the cortisol levels. And so it is that thing that, easier said than done. Try to remain calm, try to stress less. But we all know that, in this world, that definitely is easier said than done. But I do want people to be cognizant that it is not something that we just pick up through all of our experiences, because as we grow, we have more and more experiences, which cause more and more traumas, triggers, experiences that are not pleasing to the body. And then we try to offset it with dopamine, and then we have, those things where if you are, on any substance while you're pregnant, that is also those things that are passed down through the baby. So you can definitely start your life off challenged. And then your body is going to, at such a small age, baseline itself into those things. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen a baby go through withdrawal, but it's not a pretty sight. And I'm pretty sure most people don't, want to ever experience that. But we do know that that's just how life is. And so I tell the women, do not villainize yourself for your early years, because a lot of times you've inherited a lot of those stressors already, and your cortisol levels are already high. And so, and then if you live in a traumatic situation all the time, a not good environment, whether it's your internal home or your external environment, whether you live in a bad neighborhood or things like that, that's also going to create dynamics within your body that's going to see things as safe when they're really not safe. And so your body has adapted itself to the experiences that it needs to survive in. And so those usually tend to be a lot higher cortisol levels. So now when someone sees a real danger to them, they may not run, they may not flight, they may not fight, they may fawn, because their body's like, this is normal, and so we're just gonna, but it really isn't. And so yeah, it's a lot
It
that
is,
goes.
it's really, and I really like that you kind of brought back part of my training was I learned and totally subscribe to this is that ancestral, individual, and collective traumas that we all kind of go together that feed well, us to where we are. And so some people are better at noticing when they're dysregulated, noticing how to self-soothe and knowing to reach out to somebody, to put yourself in community, to put yourself with somebody who you know is a good anchor for you. And talk therapy for me, I think talk therapy is great. I love being a coach. I love helping people find the tools, but being able to find that inside of yourself through people like you. And so, before we have about 3 minutes before we are going off into
Absolutely.
private conversation. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yes.
I really would love to know what is one thing that you wish every mom in this audience, and we do have a few that are live on Facebook, um, what would you like to give herself permission to do differently starting today?
Anything she wants.
I love it. Anything you want, mama, do
You
that.
could be, if you could, I actually want to start giving out wands. Create you a toolbox that look in the mirror and tell yourself and give yourself permission to live the life that you want. Yes, we do understand that if you have responsibilities, it's going to come with those. But it's, how are we going to live? If you want to take that vacation, take that vacation. Give yourself permission to be the person you want to be. And you are a person, individual first. You have to know who you are to help your kids, the people around you, to be better human beings. That's just what it is. And when you're authentic with yourself and have those conversations with yourself, I have days when I'm like, girl, you was wrong. Give yourself permission to have bad days. Give yourself permission to mess up, but
Yeah,
also give yourself grace to know that every day that we wake up on this side of the earth is a good day, and it's a day to do better and be better.
I love that. And I know I said we're about to go, but it reminded me of that thing that you said before. Even after an event or something, you go to bed for a couple of days and you kind of shut it down. You go dark. You don't, but that's your recharge. And it's as an introvert. And um, it reminded me that I do the same thing. I go dark for at least 6 hours to recharge myself. And that is one of the tools that I also use is shut it down. Let your body and your mind and your energy and through through prayer and connection before you even reach out to anybody else's energy. So I love this. Um, Thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to go into a private conversation um, with the Wonder Mama community and stop the live stream in just a moment. But for those of you who are here with us live, if you want to be part of the Wonder Mama community, the door is open. I will drop the link here in a little while with the explanation. And yes, it is so important, Evangeline. So important. Um, I'm sorry, Angeline. I don't know. I made your name so fancy. Also, next week we have Renee Jackson Smith with us, and she is another incredible lady that you will enjoy. So join us either inside or outside, but either way, peace out, everybody. Let's see. I always say that and I don't have the thing clicked. Bye.